So the season that was is over and Liverpool are Premier League champion. I feel like I should come with a spoiler warning saying that, but if you don't know by now, Liverpool are Premier League champions. Arne Slot in his first season in charge, somewhat surprisingly, has taken them to only their second Premier League title. Of course, they've won lots of league titles if you don't just count footballers starting since the Premier League started, obviously. So, yeah, season's over. But I wonder what Football Manager thinks the season should have ended up like. Well, let's find out. Yeah, we're going to be simulating the Premier League season that was in Football Manager 2024. Now, I have got some updates on the game. I don't have an update that's from the end of the season. The one I've got is kind of between the January transfer window and the end of the season, but I feel like that will probably serve its purpose well enough to do what we're going to do, which is literally let the season run. We're going to stop once at the halfway point, or the approximate halfway point in December. But other than that, we're going to let the game do the hard work, and we'll see what the Premier League table looks like. Just to remind everyone, the Premier League table in real life looked like this at the end of the season, with Liverpool finishing top, Arsenal second with 74 points, Liverpool of course had 84, Manchester City scraping a third place in the end with 71, and Chelsea and Newcastle United being the other two Champions League clubs with league finishes with 69 and 66 points respectively. My club Aston Villa just missing out with goal difference, finishing in the Europa League. And then, of course, we have kind of the weird ones. Nottingham Forest finishing 7th. I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card at the beginning of the season. I think halfway through the season, everyone thought it'd be in one of these Champions League spots, but that didn't happen. We've then got Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup. And getting a Europa League phase place as a result of that. And then finally Tottenham Hotspur finishing 17th but winning the Europa League and qualifying for the Champions League as a result. And also we'd have to mention a 15th place finish for Manchester United. Sad times. I don't know, have clubs been relegated with 42 points? I feel like they must have been in the past, surely, because that is very, very low. Oh my god. So if this was the 2002-2003 season, Manchester United and Wolves could have been relegated. This is what Google was invented for. But anyway, enough of that nonsense. We are going to take this game and we are going to put it into the future. Again, we're going to stop around the halfway point of the season, which will be somewhere in December, probably Boxing Day or just after, and we'll see how we're doing at that point. But as you can see, it is up to date with what this season was. We've got the teams like Ipswich in there, so we'll see how they do. Of course, again, just referring back to the real Premier League table, let me just drag it back in. Oh god, it's going crazy. We can see that Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton all got relegated, so we're going to be keeping an eye on them as well, and we'll see whether there's any kind of crazy things that happen instead of that. Maybe Spurs will get relegated, I don't know. I've seen Liverpool get relegated in the save before, in early kind of save as well, like early points of the save, like first couple of seasons, so you never know, something crazy like that could happen. Right, I'm going to get to simulating, so give me a moment and I'll be right back. And just like that, we're here on match day 19, which at this point in the season, Liverpool were top. This is the only page I could find that had something of a breakdown per match day. But at match day 19, Liverpool were top with 46 points. Arsenal second with 39. Forest were third with 37. Chelsea with 35. Man City all the way in sixth, actually, with 31. And the relegation zone was more or less how it stayed for the season, to be honest with you. It was Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton. Spurs were 11th, though, so tells you a lot about the drop-off that they had. But that is how things were. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, if I get that out of the screen, that's probably a good idea. There we go. Let's have a look and see how the table is doing at the moment. Now, have we got any major shot? I've already looked at it, so I already know the answer to this question. And the answer is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's not as it was in real life. No, as in it's Man City. So Man City leading with 46 points on after match day 19, I should say, which is the exact same amount of points that Liverpool were on, although a lower goal difference. If I can just, let me... This is the actual league table of what happened in the Premier League, just so we can compare. So Man City, 46 points in first. Liverpool, 46 points in first. The next team was Arsenal. In this universe, it's Tottenham. Definitely having a much better season than in real life. 39 points to 41 for Tottenham. It's interesting the Arsenal and Spurs have swapped around a little bit in this universe. But yeah, Arsenal on 39 points in real life, 2 points more for Spurs. Third, Forest. That's not happening in this universe. It is Newcastle on 40 points. So again, more points in FM than in real life. Fourth, Chelsea. Fourth, Arsenal. 36 points, 37 points. 35 points rather, I should say. So again, bit of variance there. Newcastle in fifth. Brighton in fifth in the game on 34 points to 32. Man City then in sixth. We know that's not right. It's actually Chelsea in sixth in the game. West Ham then in seventh place in the game, which is great. West Ham at this point were in 13th. In seventh place is Bournemouth in real life. So they had a massive drop off at the end of the season from the looks of things as well. Fulham then in eighth in real life. It's actually Liverpool who ended up winning the thing in real life, who are on a lowly 27 points at this point. Manchester United doing much better in the game though. Ninth place to 14th in real life. And rounding out the top 10 is my Aston Villa, one place below where they were in real life in ninth, and Brighton rounds out the top 10 in real life. And the relegation zone we know is Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton. Southampton, Leicester and Everton. Everton propping up the table in this universe. Ipswich in 16th. So there's a few shocks there, but also, in fact, that's quite a different table in all things considered. I don't think there's one place. I'm just having a quick scan through. Leicester are the only team that I like for like at this point of the season, which is quite funny to me. But yeah, so we have a little bit of variance, not a massive amount of variance, but we've got a little bit to work with. Now, in terms of how we're doing here, Isak with 12 points is the top goal scorer, followed by Jarrod Bowen, followed by Erling Haaland. Saka, Silva and Foden, the best players in the league. And Enzo Fernandez with 9 assists leads the charge, and Ederson has the most clean sheets. So Manchester City having a very good season, but there's a lot of other players who are as well, a lot of other teams that are as well. Isak being one of them. So what we'll do is we'll go to the end of the season. We'll see how the Premier League ended up going at this point. And then we'll also have a look at the European competitions. Actually, before that, I do just want to do a quick round robin of the managers and just see whether we've had any changes. So Pep Guardiola is still in charge at Manchester City. Well, ninth place, that was probably a little bit predictable. We have no more Ruben Amorim. He has left. Travis Binion currently in charge. Been in charge this month. They're still obviously looking for a manager at this point, Manchester United, so that's gone horribly wrong. They've got Newcastle United, still Eddie Howe. They're third. Why would they get rid of him? Nuno is still in charge of Nottingham Forest. Obviously, they're having a much worse season in the game than they did in real life. Then we've got Southampton. Alvarado is still in charge, even though they're getting relegated. Spurs. Andrew's got them second. He ain't going anywhere, is he? West Ham. Rafa Benitez is 7th in the league. I've had to have a moment here to work this out. So Julian Lopetegui was the manager at the start of this save when I had this database. It hadn't been updated at that point. They sacked him in when they're in December, and now they've got Rafa Benitez, but they're in 7th. Why did they sack him? I don't understand why they would sack him. They've had a great season. Huh? Well, alright, cool. Wolves still got Vitor Pereira. Mikel Arteta still at Arsenal, top 4. That's going to be enough for them. Unai Emery still in charge at Villa. Iraola still in charge at Bournemouth. Thomas Frank is still in charge of Brentford. Fabian Herzler is still in charge of Brighton. They're 5th, why would they get rid of him? Enzo Maresca is in charge of Chelsea. Crystal Palace still have Glasner in charge. Everton still have Sean Dyche. Remember, this is before the end of the season, so not all the managers were updated, but at rock bottom, I'm a bit surprised Sean Dyche is still there. So yeah, I don't have some of the changes in here, but that's still a bit of a shock. I would have expected him to have gone by now. Fulham have still got Marco Silva. Still Kieran McKenna for Ipswich Town. 16th is a decent result for them, to be fair. Leicester City still got Steve Cooper. Liverpool still got Arne Slot in 8th. Can't imagine that will last for very long. And then we get to the end. I'm a bit surprised at a couple of those, to be honest with you. The West Ham one broke me a little bit, because what on earth is going on there? I don't understand the West Ham one. I really don't. I mean, I'd like to see their season. This is their season so far. So they obviously didn't start great. So he got sacked at the beginning of December, which would have been around here. They were mid-table. I don't understand why they've sacked him. They were mid-table. That's a baffling one. Right, I'm going to go to the end of the season now. We'll check out how the season in the Premier League finished, see if there's any more big surprises, and then we'll see how things fared in the European competition for English clubs as well. Just a note on this as well, because this is technically the first season of a save in Football Manager 2024. It's not going to be the league format, it is going to be the group format previously used for many years. So do bear that in mind when we get to that point, when we look at how the European competitions have gone. Right, onwards. So, did anything crazy happen for the final 19 games of the season? Did Manchester City bottle it? Did Liverpool mount an amazing comeback? Did someone else appear from nowhere and win the title? Did Arsenal actually finally win a Premier League since 2005? Well, the answer to that is no, it was Man City. It's exactly as you would expect it to have been. They ended up kind of winning it at canter with a 9-point gap. So that's not necessarily a big shock, although it is obviously different to what happened in real life with Liverpool. However, what's worthy of note, Spurs finishing seconds. A bit different to 17th, isn't it? They finished 9 points off the top, but obviously that's still a very good result. Arsenal finishing third. And again, Manchester United having a much better season with the video game gods helping them, finishing fourth with 69 points on the board. So they did very well indeed. Chelsea then finished fifth, didn't finish in the Champions League spots like they did this year in real life. Liverpool finished sixth overall, and Newcastle slipped to seventh. So obviously things did go badly for them. Rounding out the top 10 is Brighton, Brighton, Aston Villa and West Ham. Got my words mixed up then. So no European football for those three. Now the relegated teams, another interesting one. You can see there, Southampton did get relegated as they did in real life, but they were not propping up the table. No, that honour belongs to Everton. But Wolverhampton Wanderers also slipped down as well. So Ipswich and Leicester actually didn't even finish 17th, either of them. They both finished 15th and 16th respectively. So they ended up solidifying themselves. Nottingham Forest ended up getting themselves out of a bit of trouble, finishing in 12th as well. So very interesting. Now, if I can just pull up the real life ends table, let me just grab that. I've got that just to the side here. Here we go. Probably should just cut this, but I'm not gonna. We'll just stretch that so we can see all of it. Right, so this is how the Premier League finished this season. So just to compare those positions, we know Liverpool won it in real life. Obviously they finished down in 6th place. Arsenal finished 3rd in the game, 2nd in real life. Man City obviously do not have any issues that they had finishing 1st. So the winner of the league got 92 points this season in the game, 84 in real life. 2nd place got 83, 74 in real life. 3rd place got 71. That's actually bang on. So it was a bit of a 2-horse race in the game, and then everything was separated out. The teams that got relegated did slightly better than expected. 12, 22 and 25 were the points totals in the relegation zone in real life. 24, 32 and 32 were the points totals in the game. So there's obviously a bit of a difference there. And I mean, I'm just looking through. Is there anyone who finished where they finished? Brighton finished where they finished in real life. They're the only team, as far as I can see, who matched their position. 61 points they had, 62 points in the game. So there you go. There is a variance, or a lack of variance there in a table full of variances. It's weird. It's obviously different to real life, and yet somehow it's still not a surprise because Manchester City ruined it by winning it. We have got, as a top goal scorer of the league, Alexander Isak. So even though Newcastle slipped down, he's still got the top goal scoring. Erling Haaland has been dethroned, ladies and gentlemen. Bukayo Saka finishing 3rd in that 3-horse race. Now, this season's Premier League, I do recall, when I looked at the top goal scorers, was actually a relatively high scoring one. I've just got that page up in front of me here. Let me just bring that over and we'll have, in fact, let me just do that. So in terms of goal scoring, I'm just going to bring this up and put it in the middle here. Isak finishing top on 22. It's a bit of a low-scoring Premier League season. Of course, Mohamed Salah got 29 in the league to top the charts. Alexander Isak in real life actually got 23 and finished 2nd. Erling Haaland finished 3rd. I think he had injury problems, though. He finished 2nd in this save with 20 goals, 22 in real life. Then we had Bukayo Saka, who's nowhere near this list. Darwin Nunez next, nowhere near this list. Heung-min Son, nowhere near this list. Bernardo Silva, nowhere near this list. Jared Bowen, nowhere near this list. Phil Foden, nowhere near this list. João Pedro, nowhere near this list. And Rodrigo Muniz, nowhere near this list. In real life, it was Mo Salah with 29, Isak 23, Haaland 22, and Mbeumo and Wood with 20 each. Wissa with 19. What a season Brentford had for goal scorers, by the way. Watkins with 16. He is not on this list whatsoever, which is a bit of a shock. Cunha and Cole Palmer on 15 each, and Strand Larsen and Mateta with 14 each. So interesting to see the differences in how things are. I'm not going to compare all of the stats, but we'll just have a quick look at other ones as well. The assists, we've got Fernandes with 16, De Bruyne with 13, Fernandes, the other one, with 13, Odegaard with 12, Phil Foden with 10, Johnson with 10, Trent with 9, Sugawara with 9, Martinelli with 9, and Bentancur with 9 as well. Interestingly, actually, Trent, let's have a quick look at him. Signed a new contract in this universe. Trent not going anywhere. That's very interesting. Right, well, before we do anything else, let's have a look at the European competitions and just double check and see who won what. Now, with the European competitions, I have already mentioned this in this video. Because of the way that Football Manager works, my understanding is that you can't change the first season in terms of the way that the format of the Champions League works. Maybe there's been an update since then, I don't know, but that's what I'm going with. So the database that I've got has still got the first season of a save as the group stage rather than the league phase. So just bear that in mind when we go through the European competitions, which personally I don't mind because I actually prefer the group stage. I did think the league one was kind of more interesting than I thought it would be, but I still prefer the old-fashioned one. So Conference League, just having a quick scan through. We've got Chelsea. I think they're the only team who are in it, which is great because they're the ones who won it, of course, this season. So let's see how they do. Now, we saw here they came second in the league, in their group rather, so we'll go through to the knockout. They don't need to be in this, but did anyone drop down that we care about from below? No, they did not. So let's go to the round of 16. And Chelsea went through against Copenhagen. They won 5-1 overall, which is great. So the next round is the quarter-final, and they got through against Fiorentina, doing a really good job of matching their real-life success so far into the semi-final, and they lost. And they lost against Lyon, which, you know, not Lyon, Lille. Where did that... They lost against Lille, which is obviously not great. And then it was Lille versus Panathinaikos, and the result of that was a Lille win, as you would expect. Now, on to the Europa League. So, of course, in the Europa League, in real life, it was an all-English final, Manchester United versus Spurs, with the prize being that a team in the bottom 5 of the Premier League, or bottom 6, I should say, would get a chance at being a Champions League club. So let's see how our boys did. Now, Spurs got through from the looks of things. They finished second in their group. Manchester United finishing top of theirs. They were, I think, the only 2 representatives of England in this competition. So let's go through and see what's happened. I should say in the game, whether there were any more in real life, I can't remember. But in the game, that's all that we've got. Right, knockout playoff round. This will spoil any English clubs, and there's a spoiler already, Aston Villa. So bear that in mind going forward. Villa do get knocked out of the Champions League, but get to fall into the Europa League, as was the case back in the day. Right, so it's round of 16. How did we do? Villa out, United through. Did I miss Spurs getting knocked out in the playoff? They won it in real life. Spurs got knocked out by Bayer Leverkusen in the game. Well, interesting. But Man United did get through. Villa went out. So United are our only hope, believe it or not. Quarter-final, beat Lyon. 5-2 over 2 legs, which is quite impressive. And then semi-final, got to the final against Bayer Leverkusen. I've got a feeling Leverkusen... do you know what I've just realised? I can see at the top who won it. I don't know whether you noticed that as well, but moderate spoiler at the top here. Bayer Leverkusen won it. Okay, well, there we go. 1-0 in the final. Ironic, Man United lost 1 in the final against Spurs, so it is what it is. Right, the big one. Now, don't you look at the top of the page, you little scamp. You're going to wait with me, and we're going to watch and find out who won it together. So, we had, in the Champions League, Aston Villa we already know about. Manchester City are there as well. They won their group. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Liverpool won their group. Arsenal finished second in theirs, and Villa finished third. So we knew Villa were out, but Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City all making it through. So, round of 16, how did we do? Liverpool knocking out Barcelona, impressive. Manchester City knocking out Sporting as well. We already knew Villa were out, but Arsenal did then beat Real Madrid as well. So 2 massive clubs knocked out at this early stage. I've just realised something. I don't think this has been played, because I've just realised it says holders Real Madrid. Real Madrid have been knocked out, so we may still have a final to play here. Quarter-final. Arsenal out, Liverpool through, Man City through. Look at Liverpool's destruction of Galatasaray. Arsenal losing to Man City on penalties. Heartbreak for the never Champions League winners Arsenal. But Manchester City, who have won it that one time, going through. I say that one time as if it wasn't impressive. It was a treble. But then in the through the quarter-final into semi-final, I should say, Paris Saint-Germain beat Liverpool, Man City beat Bayern Munich, setting up a final between those two, which... I'll be honest with you, I thought that had already been played. And it gets played 1st of June. Well, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? Let's just simulate it while we're here. Let's just simulate it while we're here and let's just see what happens. It'd be rude not to. Let's see what happens. I'm keeping an eye on the screen in case it does prompt us as to who wins. I apologise if I go a little bit glitchy during this as well. That does tend to happen when I kind of simulate games. Right, let's have a look at... Sure, it'll be a news item, I would have thought. This is all about jobs. I don't really, at this moment in time, care about jobs. Let's have a look at the Champions League. Holders Man City. Manchester City beat Paris Saint-Germain, who of course made it to the final in real life. Man City are the team, however, this time who win it. And they are now officially, sorry Manchester United fans, Champions League winners twice over. That is only going to give us the history of the save. But there you can see, Champions League 23-24 with 1 runner-up medal. Well, there we go. I'll be honest with you, as looks into the alternate history go, it's not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be. English clubs definitely did worse in the European competitions other than the Champions League, so I don't know, is that a fair trade? Maybe, maybe not. But Manchester City, once again, having a wonderful time. Let's just check the other English competitions. The Carabao Cup, Arsenal winning, beating Villa. Oh, Villa had a chance and they blew it. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Okay, Villa had a chance and they blew it. What about the FA Cup? Liverpool winning that one. So the trophy's relatively spread out other than the Champions League and the Premier League being won by the same team. What about the Community Shield? Have we got that available? Community Shield, Man City won that. So Man City technically win a sort of treble. It's not the treble, but they win a sort of treble. But bad luck Manchester United, you won sod all. But there we go. That's the alternate timeline in Football Manager of what the season could have been. It could have been yet another year of Manchester City winning a title. Sorry, Manchester City fans. It does get a little bit boring after a while. But, hey, Football Manager tells you that you should have won it this season. There we go. Well, who knows what would have happened if Rodri didn't get injured. Maybe you would have done. But that is going to do it for this little, again, look into an alternate timeline with the help of Football Manager. If you enjoyed this video, I might do more of them. Who knows? We'll see how many views it gets, see how many likes it gets, see if it gets any comments on there. Again, just a little bit of fun, just a bit of filler maybe. Yeah, sure, we'll call it a little bit of filler, a bit of fun filler though. I like to see things like this just to see how the game likes to play things out. But that's going to be that for this video. So until the next one, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed today's video, remember, my name is Stubo. Please leave a like on the video. Please hit the subscribe button. And I will hopefully see you in a future video. We've got the My Career Save going on at the moment. Hopefully I'll see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.